Go ahead and have a nice seat on your mat. So we're going to start with some nice neck rolls. We're going to start from one side, pushing over to the other, really, really gently. Slowly starting to synchronize your breath with your movement. Or in other words, just really nice, deep, drawn out breaths. Very slowly from one side, we're now going to roll forward. Don't have to touch chin to chest right away. We're going to let the neck take its time and warm up. I'm going to go for one roll to the left and one more to the right. Perfect. From here, we're going to get the shoulders a little bit. So we're going to lift and roll back. And pushing forward. Really getting those shoulders as high up towards the ears as possible. Okay, we're going to have the seat further onto the mat. And we're going to work a little bit through the ankles. So going for some nice rotations as pretty of a circle as possible and other way. We're going to move on to the knee. Really drawing nice big circles. And as circular of a circle as possible. Harder to do with the knee. Other way. And we're going to go ahead and switch legs. Same thing, we're going to start with the ankle. Just notice if there's any tension or pressure. Switching sides. We're going to go ahead and move on to the knee. Same thing. We want to draw a nice full circle. Switching sides. Very good. We're now going to gently come onto all fours. I'm going to just angle myself to the side here. We're going to start with a nice cat camel. Good back stretch here. So we're going to drop the belly button to the ground. Chin comes up, shoulders down away from the ears. Just feel a little bit of tension through the upper back and mid back. On the next exhale, we're going to start by tucking the tailbone down, belly button up towards the spine, spreading the shoulder blades, dropping chin to chest. Really pushing through the ground. Feel that big stretch through the upper mid back. We're going to reverse again, so tailbone's going to come up, belly button drops, chin comes up. We're going to go for our last two. We're going to go ahead and tuck. Right on through, pulling the belly button up towards the spine. And reversing one last time. Shoulders down, belly button towards the ground, and chin is up. Good, so feel free to bring the spine back to neutral. We're going to still be on an all fours position. You can bring the knees in just a little bit closer if you'd like. And we're just going to tip to one side, pushing the hip out, looking towards our feet, and switching sides. We're going to be taking one deep breath per side. Really, really trying to let the hip go and let it get a good stretch. I'm going to go for one more per side. Very good. We're going to stick in this position. What we're going to do is we're going to walk out into a nice tall plank. One of many today. We're going to hold tight. You're going to think about all the things you want to be maintaining in a tall plank. Neutral spine, shoulders down away from the ears, hips level. You're going to rock all the way back into the heels and push all the way forward on the toes. Keeping the spine level, pushing away from the ground. We'll go for 2 more, pushing the heels back, coming up on the toes. On the next one, we are going to come up with the knee and plant the foot down for a nice good hip stretch. Taking this one slow, you can start to come down onto the elbows. If it's more comfortable here, you can push onto the outside of the foot and throw the knee out. We're going to slowly come on up, resetting the foot, getting that back toe ready. We are going to push that foot back, push the heel down towards the ground, and we're going to push forward, knee comes up, and planting it down for that stretch. Take a second before coming down onto the elbows, just to let the hips stretch into a better position. And slowly, if you'd like, you can come down onto the elbows, push onto the outside of the front foot, and let the knee drop outwards. Perfect. We're slowly going to come back up, plant our hands back into a tall plank. We're going to stay here, walk our hands forward to the very, very ends of the mat. And take 4 deep breaths. On the next exhale, we're going to walk our hands back, and we're going to get seated into a nice squat position. You can keep the heels up off the ground for now. What you're going to want to do is find a good width for the feet. So you're kind of going to go forward and back onto one heel at a time, just getting nice and comfy. From here, what we're going to do is one knee is going to tap down back to a squat, and then the other knee as well. We're just warming up the hips a little bit. Very good. Now you're going to sink into your squat, so making sure that the heels are on the ground. We are going to fold forward, backs of the hands touching. And what we're going to do is we're going to come up onto the toes, externally rotate the shoulders, chest is up, really pushing the knees forward. We're going to take a time to balance here before going back. And here we go, exhale, back into a reaching 8 pose. On an inhale, open everything up, externally rotate the hands. You're going to rotate the thumbs towards the back wall. And exhale, folding forward. We're going to open up one last time, externally rotate. And what we're going to do is we're now going to push up into a standing position for just a second. Feel free to stretch out the knees, the legs out of that squat position, because we're going to be going right back down. This is a great time to grab a sip of water if you need it, and rejoin us at the end of the mat in about 15 seconds time. Okay, so we're going to get back into a nice squat position. This time you can stay kind of up off the heels a little bit. Out of this bottom position, you're gonna get one foot forward in front of the other. You can sit on the heel in the back, and we are going to push into a pistol squat position. So from here, the hands can go out to the sides. You're balancing on that one toe, and slowly you're gonna extend the front leg. Balance as needed. We're gonna put the foot right back. Take a second, and we're gonna try the other side. So prepare the foot in front, and slowly bring it up and out. And then find a good balancing point. And bring it down. Perfect. We're going to come right back up again, just because that is quite a lot on the ankles and the knees. So you can kind of push out. What we're going to do now is we're going to combine the figure 4 get up that we've done before, and we're going to see if we can slowly try to coax in a single leg pistol squat. Okay, so we're going to start from the mat. We're going to practice a couple get-ups to jog our memory, and then we're going to try it out of a pistol squat. So I'll show everything as I go along, but to start, the legs are going to start up, the hands can be by the sides. You're going to fold one foot under, and it'll look like a number 4. You'll roll forward, one foot comes out in front, and without using our hands, we're going to come up. You can come down on the same leg, and back into that starting position to switch sides. So we're trying just a couple per leg. And try to exert as much control over this get-up as possible. Very good. This time what we're going to do is, without the use of that figure 4, we're going to try to pop into a pistol squat. So exactly what we were just practicing. You can use a little bit more momentum for this, just because it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But starting out, this position is going to look very similar to what we've just done. Just a little bit harder because you kind of have to roll into it and catch your balance. So give it a try. And it's not quite like the figure 4, but very, very similar. And do be ready to catch yourself. As always, not each leg is the same. And on one, you might land nicely and get a couple seconds worth of balance, and on the other, you might not. So do be prepared to catch yourself. We're gonna try a couple more. Perfect. Really, really, really good effort. What we're gonna do now is, because we now have the momentum, we know a little bit more about what to expect. We're gonna try to roll ourselves off the ground into a pistol squat on one leg, and you're going to try to get up out of it and stand straight. Okay, again, easier said than done. but it'll look something like this, hopefully. So give it your best shot. Well done. I see some people getting up. That's really, really good. Keep it up, keep trying. And as you get better and better, you can use less and less momentum. So you're gonna try one more per leg. Very well done. Excellent, excellent work. So pistol squats do become a heck of a lot easier when you have a little bit of momentum behind your back to guide you. And that's really, really good. What we're gonna practice now is the negative portion of a pistol squat. So just the way down. All right, so standing on the mat. To make this easier, you are going to grab either the big toe or the first couple toes of the leg out in front. From here, you are going to just come down into this position. You can set yourself up here and then just kind of bring yourself back up again, so you don't actually have to do the full pistol squat yet. But the descent is a really important part. So we're gonna try it. We're gonna try 5 on one side and 5 on the other. If you feel like you can actually get back up again out of this pistol squat, go for it. Why not? If not, just stick to the negatives. Very good. Switch sides if you haven't already. And again, if you're anything like me, one side's going to be a heck of a lot different, so bear with it. All right, take your time finishing up the last couple on whatever side. Lucky ducks that have really nice flexible hamstrings are in a particularly good position for this movement. That being said, we're now going to move on to a little bit of a sun salutation before we get into some more extreme stuff that we've tried over the weeks. So we're going to go ahead and start at the very edge, back edge of our mat. We're going to go for a nice inhale, arms overhead, exhale. We're going to come right on down halfway. Start getting comfy in this nice big hamstring stretch. On the inhale, we're coming up. Exhale, relax, fold down. We're gonna walk ourselves out into a tall plank. We're gonna hold here. We're gonna walk our hands all the way out to the very, very end of the mat, holding tight, neutral spine. Two more deep breaths. We really want that core warmed up. We're going to walk our way back, and we're going to slowly drop down onto the mat. Lining up the hands directly below the elbows. We're going to go for nice little small cobras. We're really trying to warm up those spinal erectors. Exhale on the way up. Inhale, coming down. One last one. Perfect. We are now going to push right back up into a good downward dog. Really pushing through the hands, pushing away from the ground. Feel free to drop one heel to the ground at a time. We're going to pedal it out here. Really pushing those hips back. And keep breathing nice, long, drawn out deep breaths. Perfect. From here, back into a really nice tall plank. We're going to sit into the heels in the back. We're going to bring up the knee and bring it down towards the outside of our hands. We're going to readjust here. Moving into a nice lunge. Taking the arms overhead, looking up towards the ceiling. We're going to plant our back foot down. Front foot stays forward. We are in warrior 3 here. Breathe, looking over the fingertips. And on an inhale, we're going to tilt down, getting the fingertips just barely touching the ground, trying to keep the chest open. Keeping the knee in the front, pushing out. We're going to come up, lean to the back, look towards the fingertips, reaching towards the sky, back to center, and back down. We're going to initiate this on an inhale, coming up, exhale, right back down, opening up the chest. We're going to move through this a couple more times. Really reaching with that bottom arm. Coming back to center. We're going to place the hands down on the mat, pushing the foot back. We end up in a nice tall plank. We're going to be here for 3 deep breaths. On the exhale, you're going to push that knee forward. Land in between the hands, and feel free to readjust the foot until it's in a good, comfy position. We're going to come up on an inhale, looking up towards the ceiling. We're going to settle that back foot on the mat, hands coming out to the side, pushing the front knee out, looking over the fingertips. Very good. Settle into this position, taking nice, long, deep breaths. We're going to inhale, come down, fingers just barely touching the mat. Still trying to push that knee out, looking up towards the fingertips. And inhale, we're going to come up, really pushing that bottom arm down along the leg, looking up towards the fingertips. Coming right back down. And inhale, coming up. Exhaling, back down. A couple more. We're going to go for one last one. Inhale. And exhale. We're going to bring the hands down. Push into a nice tall plank. Staying here for 3 deep breaths. Very good. Bring the knees down to the mat. We're gonna go ahead and rotate, stretch out the wrists. So with the fingertips facing out, I'm gonna plant them on the mat. And we're gonna go around in circles. Really looking for any spots of pressure, tension, weirdness, and very slowly trying to push a little bit of weight through those areas. We're going to switch directions with the fingertips still pointed out. One last circle, good. We're going to get the fingertips pointing in towards each other, spread them out as wide as you can, and going for circles. I'm going to switch sides, keeping the fingertips facing each other. Very good. Placing the fingers towards you. You can go ahead and readjust, pull the knees in a little bit closer towards the fingertips. Spread them out, palms staying down on the ground. You're going to have a seat on your heels. Very, very gently stretch this out. Dropping the shoulders down away from the ears. We're going to take 4 nice long deep breaths here. Perfect. Feel free to just gently shake that out. At any time through the next little portion where you need to relieve the wrists, just put them together, go for some rotations both ways. That being said, we are now going to push ourselves up. Get a nice wide stance through the legs. Getting nice and cozy, you can always readjust the feet if need be. We're going to push over to one side. Breathing deeply, we're going to really stretch out the inner thighs here. We're going to come back up, stretch to the other side. We're going to walk ourselves right into the middle of the mat. From here, you can have the hands down. Slowly try to crank the head down. We're going to try to get our elbows down towards the ground. If it's not happening, don't worry, just leave them exactly where they're at. We're just looking for a really nice big inner thigh stretch. Gently now, you're going to take your hands and reach back between the legs as far as you possibly can. Taking 2 deep breaths. And out of this position, you're slowly going to try to get your head towards the ground. You can set the feet up wider if you'd like. Once your head makes it down to the ground, your hands, you can set them up in a nice tripod position, ready to push into a nice headstand. So take your time. You can start with the knees on the elbows if that really, really helps out initiating the headstand for you. Otherwise, you can just push right off the ground. And take your time. Feel free to stay in a nice balanced position with the knees on the elbows. And if you're comfortable, you can push up right out of there, making sure that the core is nice and tight. You can keep the legs together if you'd like, if that helps you keep your balance. If you want to try something fun, feel free to initiate your headstand with the feet apart in a straddle and bring them up that way as well. We're gonna try one last one here. Very good. I think we're all due for a nice little quick sip of water. Feel free to grab one, and we're gonna meet right back in 15, 20 seconds. If you need to relieve the wrists, go on ahead and do that. I'm also gonna grab a quick sip of water. Very good. Okay, so I was mentioning prior to class that it is a luxury if you have a wall around. We're gonna go ahead and try a handstand. Okay, so prior to pushing into one of these, we will practice crow just to get a really good sense of weight on our hands. So on our mats still, we're gonna get the hands set up. The knees are going to fall onto the elbows. From here, you can walk your feet back and you can slowly start to put yourself in a balancing position. Take your time. Find a position that is most comfortable for you. Balance just for a couple seconds so you get the hang of that weight on your hands. I'm going to try just a couple more. Very good. What I'm going to go ahead and do now, I'm just going to create a little bit of space by the wall. I'm just going to drag my mat over, and feel free to as well. And what we're going to do is we're just going to push right into a handstand, okay? If this wall situation isn't available to you, don't worry, feel free to stick with crow. It's a really good position to work out of for the time being. If you do have a wall, what we're going to do is we're just going to line our hands up fairly close. You can try a couple trial kicks just to see how your balance feels. So what I mean is you can just kind of kick up like this a couple times. See how much effort it'll take to really get one leg up towards the wall, and then you can let the second leg join in right after. We're gonna hold for 3 deep breaths, and then we're gonna bring it down from there. So whatever foot you're starting with, remember that we're gonna switch it up in just a second. Very good. Once up on the wall, you're going to be pushing down into the hands, trying to really get the shoulder pushing away from the ground. On top of that, you're going to try to line your head up right below you. So you're not going to be looking up towards the wall. You're just going to kind of line up your spine neutral. If you've tried one leg, you're now going to try the other. So as you're trying your handstands, if you're trying off the wall, you can try to push yourself off the wall ever so gently. Try to find a good space of balance, and you're going to try your best to just hold it there, even for 3 seconds. If you don't have the wall available and are doing crow, you can now try crow on both sides. So you can line yourself up sideways, towards your hands. You're gonna dig one elbow into the hip, one elbow into the knee, and you can try lifting up off the side here. If you've had enough of your handstands, you can join us as well in crow on the side here. Otherwise, keep practicing, keep trying to find a center of balance. Typically speaking, the more muscles you can engage, the better. So really squeeze everything nice and tight. With crow from the side, one leg is really heavily relied on for kind of balance, but the other leg is kind of sitting on top. So what we could also try is extending that top leg, okay? So digging in with the elbows into the hip and the knee. You can line it all up. Find a good center of balance, and then you can just straighten out that top leg. It will mess with the center of balance, so do feel free to try a couple times on each side. Otherwise, if these are turning out to be harder than expected, you can go back to the previous alternative that was working well for you and you were refining. Well, very well done. Excellent work. So we're going to try one last one of whatever you were doing, whether it was the crow, the front or the side, extending the leg or not, or whether it's a handstand or a headstand. If you really want to get the headstand more refined, you can try pushing up against the wall for that headstand. Okay? So, that being said, let's try it one last time, whichever modality you were working on. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate how to work on the headstand against the wall, so that way you have a little bit of support for your back. Very good. So yeah, using the wall can be quite beneficial, just so long as you know what you kind of want to get out of it. That being said, we are quickly going to relieve the wrists. So take a quick sip of water. Push through the wrists here, nice and gentle. If your wrists ever do bother you, assuming there's nothing really crazy going on there, they do adjust to your weight and they do adjust to the movement, so eventually it doesn't feel as bad. All right, we're now going to push into a nice, slow cool down, and we're going to start that off with a nice wall stretch. So if you do have it close by, we're going to need it for the next bit. A couch works, a really nice long bed works. We're going to line up our mats right up against the wall. We're going to get our hips pushed up right up against the wall, and the legs are going to come up. Really try to get as close as possible. Hands can go out. Upper body is just relaxing. We're going to take one leg out to the side. Really trying to push the hips into the wall. We're going to bring this leg in and switch. You will notice the hips shifting over. That's perfect. We're just gently trying to open them up. Bringing that leg back in again to center. We're now going to let both legs out. And as much as possible, keep a nice neutral spine. So if usually we're tucking the tailbone, here we're trying to do the opposite. You're trying to gently, gently, gently arch your back. Here it will increase the inner thigh stretch. So if that's really, really intense, every inhale, you're going to rest. And on the exhale, you're going to arch the back really, really gently. Inhale, relax. Exhale, really push that tailbone down into the ground. We're here for 4 more. Very well done. We're going to go ahead and pull the legs in. And we're going to line ourselves up on over. Perfect. From here, we're on our mats. You know what? You're going to roll up the mat a little bit. If your knees like a little bit of cushion, like mine do. I'm going to get 1 foot forward. And we're going to push through a bit of a flow. So really pushing forward. And then you're going to crank the heel back. So we're really getting into the front hip, but also the hamstring. So you're trying to keep your spine as flat as possible through the movement. And really flex that foot on the way back. We're going to hold in this flex position, spine as flat as possible. The whole back of the leg is going to be burning up. Just breathe. Take 4 seconds, inhale, 4 seconds, exhale. Very good. We're going to go ahead and switch sides. Same thing, get nice and set, pushing forward and through. And then as you push back, flex the foot, spine flat. Take your time for the first few, as you might be finding a good position for your heel. Couple more here. Really working that muscle out. And on this last one, forward and back, we're going to go ahead and hold. Taking long inhales, 4 seconds, and 4-second exhales. Very good. You're going to bring your knees together all the way out as far as possible. We're going to pull into a child's pose. Really walk those hands forward, stretching out the upper back and lats, resting the forehead on the ground. We're going to take some nice long breaths, as long as you can possibly make them.